Good evening, everybody. You are watching Mario's History Talks. I'm Mario Rostovsky. We have a great show for you tonight. So, as you may have seen, the Greek Foreign Ministry recently released a press release detailing the reasons behind the name issue between Macedonia and Greece. And whatever poor, hapless soul was forced to write this, it's nonetheless really embarrassing. So we're going to take a look at it, read it line by line, and in pure Mario fashion, we're going to dismantle it and, of course, make fun of it. So let's get started. So as you may have noticed, since the Prespa Agreement, Greece has been shooting itself in the foot left and right. So basically, it had to come up with a response. I mean, take a look at it. They had the BBC article, which, in an attempt to actually get them to change the story, the Greek government forced a correction, obviously, but it proved the whole point in the article. So it was just a laughing stock from the get-go. So you have that happen. Then you have, of course, the Rainbow Party in Aegean Macedonia. It's now asking for church services to be held in the Macedonian language because it is, of course, now a recognized language by Greece. Even if it's not in its own border, the legal case can be made that if it's a recognized language, an official language, people that speak it within Greece's border have also a right to have their church service and their newspapers and their schools in it. So that happened. The third thing that happened, of course, is the leaflets. The leaflets that were distributed in Aegean Macedonia that said freedom for Macedonia, autonomy for Macedonia. Now, I'm pretty skeptical about that, whether it was actually a Macedonian, but still, gets the Greeks even more paranoid than they are. So what do? They put together a press release that probably a fifth grader could have come up with. So let's take a look at it, and you'll see a lot of the same connecting tissue that you've noticed through Twitter threads because they're using the same points. They're using the same points. Like I said, it's 8 degrees of separation between these people and any original thought. It's regurgitated, it's canned, it's reheated. That's how they operate. So let's take a look. All right, let's get the show on the road. Let's start reading. The name issue arose in 1991 when the former Yugoslav Republic of Macedonia seceded from the Socialist Federal Republic of Yugoslavia and proclaimed its independence under the name Republic of Macedonia. Really? That's when it started? The expulsion of 28,000 children wasn't a part of the issue? The reason you're not letting them back in as Macedonians, not part of the issue? The reason the reason that under the Metaxas regime you could literally have your tongue cut off for speaking Macedonian and have castor oil shoved down your throat, that wasn't part of the dispute. It started in 1991, even though in the 70s you had Greek geography textbooks that clearly said that your neighbor was called Macedonia. Really? It started in 1991. Weird. I must have missed that. Historically, the term Macedonia, which it should be noted is a Greek word. Whoa, no, it's not actually. I mean, Robert Beeks, the leading scholar of the Greek language, he's a linguist, said it's a pre-Greek loan word that the Greeks absorbed. And I don't know how to break it to you Greeks, but the word Macedonia means absolutely nothing in your language today. The word Makednos, they mean absolutely nothing. The closest thing you have is makros. The word you have is makros. That's the closest link you have to Macedonia. So is it really Greek? Because we kind of have a better etymology for it. That one actually makes a lot more sense considering, I don't know, the historical setting of Macedonia, the geography of Macedonia. But yeah, thank you for calling us tall people. We'll keep that in the back of our pockets. All right, so Greek word, again, very specious, refers to the kingdom of Macedonia and the culture of the ancient Macedonians who are part of the Greek nation. No, because let's see. Demosthenes, obviously, he called him not only not Greek and not related to the Greeks, but not even a decent foreigner. The word barbarian, as you know, means non-Greek speaker, but even politically, if it was a political insult, there's no other Greek tribe that was politically called barbarian, called not Greek, had a very difficult language that the Greeks could not understand, had a pantheon that the Greeks considered foreign. And in the bottom of Demosthenes' statue, it said, "If only thy will had been equal to thy courage, never would Macedonia have been ruled by a Macedonian Ares." So if they're both Greek, why say Macedonian? So, like I said, you're never going to find that in conjunction. Like all those things happening simultaneously. I mean, we know the Macedonians preferred people that spoke their language and the higher ranking generals. There's even some speculation there might have been interpreters, though that's not 100% confirmed. There are academics like Ernest Badian that do tend to lean to that side. And more so than that, we have no record of them before the 5th century. We have no record they were Greek-speaking, they had Greek inscriptions, nothing. They just popped out of the blue with a Greek cultural identity after Archelaus. Nothing before that. So, again, it's a very selective reading of history. Oh, and by the way, when Alexander the Great died, they had a huge celebration and parade in Athens. I mean, they made fun of him for it. So when he died, they said his corpse would stink up the world. But now they build statues to him. How amazing passage of time. All right, it's an indisputable part of the historical and cultural heritage of Greece. Yeah, so indisputable and so much part of the heritage that Greeks made up a paltry 10% of the population of Macedonia in Ottoman times before the Greek army invaded. Yeah, they'll try to give you some maps of cartographers that had no idea what they were doing. They'll try to give you some census reports based off of religion, which is coincidentally how Greece still takes census reports. But if you take a look at the actual ethnicity, the people that considered, a Slavic language their primary language, that even if they attended a Greek church, they considered, the Slavic language to be their, primary mother language. The Greek population, actual Greeks, makes up no more than 10%. And these are Austrians that have confirmed it. These are French that have confirmed it. These are Germans that have confirmed it. Even Greeks themselves. They had to go from Crete and Athens to fight in Macedonia because they didn't have enough Greeks in Macedonia to even launch a fight. I mean, when you're taking people literally from the southern portions of Greece, what does that tell you? What does that tell you? All right. It's historically been called Macedonia. Its current population amounts to about 2.5 million Greek citizens. Yeah, after you imported them from Asia. Yeah, congratulations. You got 2.5 now. Go to Vodin, by the way. Let's see. Say Lafish Makedonski to them. See how many people respond to you. Just do a little examination there. All right, the roots of the name issue go back to the aftermath of World War II when Marshal Tito separated the region that until then was called Vardar Banovina from Serbia and granted it the status of a federal government under the then federal Yugoslavia and renamed it initially the People's Republic of Macedonia and then later the Socialist Republic of Macedonia. They literally pulled a Vardarska card. I'm really surprised I don't have a freaking stamp of Vardarska Banovina on here. So let's reiterate again. Vardarska Banovina, what was that? It was an administrative region. All the regions of Yugoslavia had a Banovina title because they were trying to lessen nationalism. It didn't reflect nationality. It didn't reflect borders. It was supposed to be intentionally confusing and misleading to disunify the nationalist forces of Yugoslavia. Nobody stopped calling that place Macedonia. Take a look at census reports, postcards, diplomatic cables. That place, the modern-day Republic of Macedonia, was still called Macedonia, even under this Vardarska Banovina name. But Greeks really don't understand that. And finally, how can there be a region of Macedonia that when they show you the map, it's only barely spills over into the Republic of Macedonia? And that's supposedly to the Greeks the real Macedonia. Why did that name spread to the whole damn region of Macedonia outside of ancient Macedonia? Why is part of Bulgaria that? Why is part of modern day Macedonia that? It's almost alike, and bear with me, this is very confusing. Macedonia was called Macedonia based off where the Macedonian people lived. Oh my God, because they live in Skopje, they live in Bulgaria, they live in Aegean Macedonia, they live in Bitola, all these places. And if you think that that's not the case, why did the Romans call the whole region Macedonia? It's called Macedonia Prima, Macedonia Secunda. Why did they call it Macedonia if it very clearly was outside the realm of ancient Macedonia? Have you ever considered that? Have you ever considered any history outside that narrow breadth of history of Alexander the Great and Philip? Has your mind ever considered, wait, I'm claiming 3,000 years of Greek history. Maybe I should look past maybe 500 years of history that I'm comfortable with and look past the chasm because there's a lot more there. So again, nobody in their right mind considered the region of Macedonia to not be Macedonia because it was outside the region of ancient Macedonia. It spread where the Macedonian people, a simulation of tribes, of people, formed the modern Macedonian people. And based off that, that's where the region of historical Macedonia got its name and boundaries. Pretty simple. All right. At the time, he began to cultivate the idea of a separate and distinct Macedonian nation. That's true. He did because he actually had this Yugo fitted with a flux capacitor. He went all back and forth through history. He made Gotadochev consider himself Macedonian. He made those immigrants in Ellis Island write down Macedonian for place of origin, not Bulgarian or Greek or anything. He made all those revolutionaries have a Macedonian identity. The literary clubs, the magazines. He made Pulevski, one of the founders of the modern Macedonian language. I mean, he made him say that he was a Macedonian like Alexander the Great and Philip, and he wasn't a Bulgarian nor a Vlach. So Tito's a pretty impressive guy. I mean, that's when it started, so he had to go back in time to fix a couple of errors. You know, the time-space continuum would have imploded if it wasn't for Tito. So Greeks are pretty right to be scared of him. He was a pretty cool dude. All right, so Marshal Tito certainly had many reasons for undertaking these moves. His first and foremost intention was to establish the grounds for Yugoslavia's future territorial claims in the wider region of Macedonia, to secure an exit into the Aegean Sea. Yeah, well, fun fact, when he told Stalin this, Stalin was pretty much on board because he considered, and a lot of people did, Salonika to be an old Slavic city. I wonder why. It's almost like something Slavic happened there, like I don't know, the birthplace of the modern Slavic languages, or the Slavic Renaissance, or wait a minute, what was that? Oh yeah, the modern Macedonian revolutionary movement also happened to be out of Salonika. So yeah, it wasn't like, you know, they're trying to make Beijing into Yugoslavia. They had a territorial claim, but the people that spoke Macedonian in Aegean Macedonia spoke Macedonian in Socialist Republic of Macedonia, and the ones that spoke it in Bulgaria. Yeah, there's some connecting tissue that connected these people. I mean, it's not like they were, you know, the Chinese and the Yugoslavians. I mean, it was very clearly established that people across these borders were still the same people. So, arguably, and even then, the Greek people were a minority in Macedonia. It was not an out of this world claim to want to unify the Macedonian people under one state. And it was way before Tito, obviously. I mean, even from 1919, the Macedonians were trying to reunify Macedonia. So Tito did not just come up with this crazy idea to unify Macedonia. But let's keep going. Tito's aspirations in the greater area of Macedonia were already confirmed in 1944 when he announced publicly that his goal was to reunite all parts of Macedonia that were broken apart in 1912 and 1913 by the Balkan imperialists. Yeah, because it was one people. They're divided amongst 3 or 4 states, and a lot of people confirmed this. We were at the Paris conference to rectify that. It was not this crazy notion. I mean, Greeks still think they own Constantinople, and obviously, I think we have a little bigger of a claim to Aegean Macedonia, considering, I don't know, Krcipet Komisirkov, the father of Macedonian language, was born in Pella. Our revolutionary movement was from Solun. Or some of our greatest leaders, like Gostilchov, Chakaladov, were from Aegean Macedonia. I don't know, crazy. In December of 1944, a cable from the State Department to the U.S. authorities, signed by the then U.S. Secretary of State Edward Stettinius, stated, among other things, that the government of the United States takes the view that references to a Macedonian nation, a Macedonian motherland, or a Macedonian national consciousness as unjustified demagoguery, as they do not reflect any political reality. It detects in them a resurgence of possible guise concealing underneath aggressive plans against Greece. Poor Greece. Oh, poor Greece. So a couple things. Well, that's not true. But before the establishment of the CIA, I mean, diplomatic cables regarding Macedonia and the Macedonian people tend to be very sporadic. I mean, after Ilinden, they started seeing the Macedonian people were not really Bulgarian people. They saw that they were native. It was a native uprising. It had populist roots. It was not funded by Bulgaria. It wasn't part of the Bulgarian apparatus, obviously. And during the Macedonian affair, especially, they saw the Macedonians were not, in fact, Bulgarians. There was a separate Macedonian people. And I have examples. So from the Macedonian affair of 1902, this was a memo written to the State Department, and it was by a gentleman by the name of Charles Dickinson from Constantinople. He said, the whole of Europe seems now to have reached the same conclusion. The Bulgarians and Macedonians are smarting under the indictment lodged against them by the whole civilized world. So a distinction there. Let's take a look at some more. And this is from the Digital Library of the United States Department of State, the Foreign Relations of America. This is from 1945. And this is regards to Albania. It says, Albanian people strongly desire national independence as they do not consider themselves to be Slavs, Bulgars, Macedonians, or Greeks. Not grounded in reality, he says. Let's take a look at another one. This is from 1943. And this is regards to Yugoslavia. And it says, to expedite the carrying on of its work in Parliament created a committee or presidium, which consists of 23 Serbians, 20 Croats, 10 Slovenes, 4 Montenegrins, and 3 Macedonians. This is from 1943. All right, let's do one more for old time's sake here. And this is about German conscription of Slavic people into forced labor. And it says, to intensify their oppression of the Slavs and stress that this connection the carrying into German slave labor of hundreds of thousands of Slavs, and appealed to all Slav peoples, including the Bulgarians, Macedonians, Slovaks, and Carpatho-Ruthenians. So, again, before they established the CIA as a primary intelligence apparatus of the United States, State Department memorandums, cables, you name it, were pretty sporadic. But to say that before 1944 there was no idea of amassing people, when actual State Department documents very clearly distinguish between Macedonians, Greeks, and Bulgarians, again, is, in the words of Joe Biden, malarkey. It's absolutely malarkey. But let's keep reading. Maybe we'll find something salvageable here. Okay, so again, they use that, but they all, they use a soundbite. That's how they operate. They can't go past that. So against this historical backdrop, the former Yugoslav Republic of Macedonia proclaimed its independence in 1991, predicating its existence as an independent state on the artificial concept of the Macedonian nation. Yeah, the Macedonian nation. Oh wait, it's almost like you guys had these census reports from the 20s that had people listed as Macedonian in Greek. Let's pull them up. There they are. The artificial nation. Well, there you go, Greece. You consider an artificial nation to be a real people in your own damn census reports. Crazy. But let's just not lose the forest for the side of the trees here. In fact, it was your own, I believe, foreign minister or a prime minister, I'm not sure which one, Mitsotakis, in the 90s, when he said this amazing little quote that you probably have forgotten, where he said, the whole reason we're trying to change their name is not because of the historical aspect of Macedonia, it's because we want to deny the existence of a Macedonian people. That's their whole claim. It has nothing to do with Alexander the Great, and he actually got kicked out of office for this. I'll double check with you on who exactly it was. I'll put it in the description or in the caption, but that was an actual quote from Mitsotakis about why the Greeks are so opposed to the name Macedonia, because it implies the existence of a Macedonian people and a people in their own borders that actually speak the language of the Macedonians and have a Macedonian national consciousness, which is crazy because you can talk about the Greeks, meltdown of their economy, actual neo-Nazis in their parliament, the anti-Semitism happening all over. But if you say the Greeks have a minority in their country, they'll come at you with everything they've got. They'll have the ambassador after you. They'll issue a retraction. They'll make you lose your job. They'll try to come after you. They'll try to dox you. So be careful. Call them neo-Nazis all you want. Don't ever claim they have minorities in their borders. That's crossing the line. All right. So Greece reacted strongly to the usurpation of its historical and cultural heritage. Yeah, is that why before 88 your airport wasn't called Macedonia? Is that why there was no sign that said welcome to Macedonia, welcome to Greece before the 80s? It's like, oh wait, your official administrative buildings was called the government of Northern Greece. It wasn't called the government of Macedonia and Thrace. Weird how you were so Greek and so proud to be Macedonian. You just forgot to name it that in your official administrative buildings. And why weren't you using the son of Vergina or Kutlish before the 70s or even before the 80s for that matter? Why were you not so proud to use it anymore? Meanwhile, my people had it in its churches, in our woodwork, and our architecture from the 1800s. Where was it in Greece? Why weren't you guys using it if you're so proud and so much part of your cultural heritage? Crazy, crazy stuff. Really makes you think. All right. And the creeping territorial and irredentist claims of the then new country. The question came before the UN Security Council. Yeah, a country of 2 million people with a GDP smaller than the military budget of Greece. Poor Greece, posing a territorial threat to the entire integrity of Greece. So a couple questions. A, what drugs are you on? Because they sound pretty fun if you think Macedonia posed a territorial threat to Greece. And you're honestly acting like, the hypersensitive, spoiled college kid where, like, facts don't actually matter to you. If you feel threatened, that's enough. I mean, you have literally a country of 2 million people, a standing army of, I believe, 8,000 people, landlocked. And you think they pose a territorial threat. And here's what's actually really funny, though, is it's in your interest to recognize us as Macedonians. Why? Because as Macedonia by herself, we have absolutely no claim, we have no ability to be a territorial threat to Greece. But when you call us Bulgarians and you push us in the hands of the largest army in the Balkans, I wonder what's going to happen. I mean, honestly, I wonder what's going to happen. So let's keep going. We're almost done here. And, okay. So, for the benefits of peace relations, good neighborly relations, the Security Council passed 2 resolutions which make recommendations with a view to finding a swift solution to the name dispute and the remaining outstanding issues. Yeah, this is coming from literally a country that has an army that says we're going to kill the Scopes and use their skin for the leather on our boots, and we pose the territorial threat to the Greeks. I love it. Makes so much sense. All right. So I'm just going to skim here, nothing really new. It said we used the Furum until former Yugoslav Republic of Macedonia until agreement was reached. And coincidentally, Greece, of course, violated the terms of that agreement because in 2011 and 2008, they blocked our NATO ascension. We sued them in the International Court of Justice, and we won. The only dissenting judge was, you guessed it, a Greek. So this whole agreement really doesn't make too much sense to me. Why? Because we already kind of won. And so it talks about the events leading up to it. Nothing really here. The remaining of the airport and the motorway by the Zaev government, whatever. And finally, the Antiquization Project of 2014, which aimed at giving the capital a more classical feel, the provocations of the government officials and representatives of the neighboring country, and the public use of the Regina Sun in attendance with events with irredentist and revisionist overtones. And basically this is saying that Skopje was reluctant to have any kind of reasonable negotiations and are in complete violation of Article 5 of the interim agreement. So a couple things. Was it antiquization when in 1923 we had a Vomero calendar about Alexander the Great? Was it antiquization when in 1829 we were using the Macedonian sun in our churches? Was it antiquization when in the 1930s the MPO chapter here had a chapter called Alexander the Great? Were all those crazy irredentist antiquization claims on Greek territory and history? And finally, when we look at the map of Macedonia used, yeah, we should be using it because it tells a part of our history. A lot of our people come from the other side of the border. How do we explain that? I mean, honestly, I have a friend whose last name is Kosturski, from Kostur. I wonder where he comes from. Is he from Ireland? Is he from Albania? From Hungary? Where is he from? So again, Greece is playing the poor defenseless child of Europe that needs Europe's protection from big bad Macedonia. And honestly, it's pretty laughable. These are people that claimed they took on 250,000 Persians with 300 Spartans, and they're literally scared by a 24-year-old holding a flag in Greece and a couple of young meme posters online that talk about the unification of Macedonia. This to them is terrifying. So pretty embarrassing if you ask me. So other than that, I'm not really seeing too much. Basically says that the terms of the agreement, that we're Macedonians/citizens of the Republic of North Macedonia, that we're North Macedonia, and our history textbooks have to be revised. Great. Don't care, because at the end of the day, our name is technically, we're Macedonians. The citizens of the Republic of North Macedonia is only used on passports and travel documents. We're still Macedonian. Our language is still Macedonian. And we come from a place called Macedonia. Nobody is going to know the difference. Nobody's going to look at this agreement and be like, oh, Section Article 8 of this agreement says Macedonians here and Macedonians there are not the same people, and they're very different culturally and have no relation to one another. Nobody's going to think that. We have a Macedonian people, Macedonian language, Macedonian heritage. That's what we need to focus our strengths on. And when you see clown pieces like this is just fancy, dolled up Twitter page. I mean, that's literally all it is. It's the same points I find on Twitter on a day-to-day basis, and they know they've opened up a kettle of worms they cannot afford to have open right now. They're left and right, they have problems, so they're trying to fix it with laughable stuff like this. So just remember, we've secured some things with this PRESPA agreement. It's not perfect. I'm still not a fan, but we have the name Macedonian language and the Macedonian people. That's enough to start with. Nobody in the West will know that based on this agreement, we can't claim our actual history. So now it's up to us to look at stuff like this, to tear it apart, to be a watchdog, a defense group against absurdities like this, and actually promote ourselves, promote our identity, do strategic marketing, do strategic investments, because it's up to us now. The private citizenry, the diaspora, the government has clearly failed us. We can no longer afford to keep waiting. So let's get together. Let's keep fighting. Let's make our identity known to the world. If the world doesn't care about the Macedonian question, well, we'll make them care. We'll bring it to the table. So, my Chokolatovci, thank you for watching. I appreciate it. Very thankful you liked that last video I made. And let's keep fighting and let's keep going. I'll support you in any way that I can. Like I said, shoot me a mail. Let's talk. In the meantime, stay safe and keep fighting for Macedonia. Take care, folks.